12th. I've always liked special dates, like 12.12, as if even the numbers lined up to ask me to pause and think. Yesterday, I found myself thinking about relationships. I don't know whether love was stronger in the past or whether we were simply looking at it differently, but I feel like something has been cut off cleanly, like a knife, as if the algorithm of love has changed. An invisible update arrived and none of us fully noticed what was deleted. I looked at my own life. I was engaged 3 times. None of them ended in marriage. On paper, this could be called a failure, but strangely, I'm at peace with where I am. Still, if I'm honest, no one can deny the need for connection. That isn't a weakness, it's a quiet part of being human. Yet the era has started to reverse itself. Relationships have shifted from being lived to being displayed, from being felt to being proven. They're no longer about depth, but about visibility. While thinking about why relationships don't last anymore, I arrived at this. The problem is no longer how relationships are thought about. The real problem is how radically polarized the people involved have become. People used to be different, but close. Now they are similar, yet distant. Everyone has retreated to their own corner. Women on one extreme, men on another. Both sides believe they are protecting themselves, but in reality, they've hardened to the point where they can no longer move toward each other. This isn't a disagreement, it's polarization. There's no common ground left. Everyone has expanded their own truths and emptied the space in between. Connections still happen, of course. No one can fully endure loneliness. But these connections are built not on depth, but on temporary compromises. Don't challenge me too much. Don't change my life too much. Let me stay exactly where I am. Relationships are no longer about 2 people moving toward each other. They're about 2 people trying not to collide. That's why they don't last. Because these relationships aren't fed by a shared future, but by postponed confrontations. At some point, reality reminds itself. One person wants more, the other wants to stay still, and the relationship ends. What's interesting is this. No one asks, why couldn't we come together? Everyone prefers to say, it wasn't meant to work anyway. Because failing to unite is no longer treated as personal. It's presented as a normalized outcome of the times. But what I feel is different. People didn't grow distant because they became strangers to each other, but because they sharpened themselves too much. Softness is no longer valued. Sharpness is mistaken for strength. But 2 sharp edges either wound each other or never truly meet. And maybe this is the biggest problem of love today. People want to be loved, but refuse to give up even a millimeter of their identity. Yet a relationship isn't about losing oneself completely. It's about accepting a little flexibility. Nothing that refuses to bend can truly come together. It only breaks. When I got home in the evening, I opened my history notebook as usual. On the page for December 12th, one sentence stood out. December 12th, 1913. The stolen Mona Lisa was found in Florence. A painting, but really a story about a relationship. The Mona Lisa was missing for 2 years. The most famous face in the world had been torn away from the wall where it belonged and hidden from sight. The man who stole it didn't do so to sell it, but to return it to where it truly belonged. At least, that was his story. What's interesting is this. Before it disappeared, the Mona Lisa wasn't talked about this much. When it vanished, it became a legend. When it was found, it turned into an icon. What we possess is silent. What we lose becomes a spectacle. The thoughts I had earlier about relationships came back to me. Maybe the reason love is so loud today is not because it's no longer lived, but because it's constantly displayed. When the Mona Lisa was stolen, people missed it. But today, News of new thefts at the Louvre tells a different story. What's being stolen now isn't just art, it's meaning itself. Behind glass, inside alarms, in front of phone cameras, everything looks protected, yet no one is really looking. Aren't relationships the same? Everyone carries them, shares them, shows them, but no one is truly there. The Mona Lisa's gaze has been the same for centuries, but we've forgotten how to look back at it. We take photos beside it, walk past it, without knowing its story. Love has become the same. In the past, when it was lost, it was searched for. Now, even when it's found, it often goes unnoticed. Perhaps this is the tragedy of the modern age. Nothing truly disappears, but nothing can truly be said to be found either. And in the margin of my notebook, I wrote, "When the Mona Lisa disappeared, everyone searched for it. When love disappeared, no one even noticed."